Good morning and happy Friday. Hope that you're looking forward to a fun weekend, a relaxing one. So glad that you're getting things kicked off with us here on 3+U this morning. We've all heard the old phrase, were your ears burning, when someone was talking about you, hopefully in a positive way. There's a real difference though in your ears burning and your ears ringing. If anyone watching this morning has ever suffered with tinnitus, they know how very, very frustrating it can be. Thankfully for us, Dr. Tiffany Ahlberg joins us this morning to kick off the show. She has Ahlberg Audiology up in Cleveland. Good to see you this morning.
Good to see you too, Julie. Thanks for having me.
I think one of the sad things, because I misspoke, I believe, in setting you up, is I implied that you can have a ringing in your ear that will go away. Tinnitus doesn't go away, does it?
Well, it can. There's so many varying degrees and types of tinnitus. So there is temporary tinnitus. So maybe you went to a concert or had some loud music and your ears will ring temporarily and it can go away. And then there's ongoing tinnitus, which can happen for a number of different reasons. And I feel like there has been, people have been coming in more and more for this problem in the last couple of months, but even in the last year. And so I think with the isolation and people sitting at home, that people have more time to concentrate and fixate on this bothersome sound that they hear in their head. And it is something that is usually worse in the very beginning stages. So it's usually never as bad as it is when you first notice it.
Is that because you get used to it, or is it because...
It is.
Okay.
I mean, if you think about anything, any problem or condition that you have, most of the time it's the most bothersome when it first starts, because it's so frustrating. And then you do get used to it, become acclimated to it. And so it's when you're high stress, when you first notice it, you're thinking, is there something wrong with me? Do I have a brain tumor? Like, what's causing this? It's there all the time. You're looking for it. And so as you get used to it, and there's different things that we can help people as far as tools to get used to it. So it's not like you just have it and there's nothing that we can do. There are lots of things that we can do. It's almost like a therapy, like physical therapy for your body. There's tinnitus therapy that we can do for your ears.
Well, that's news to me, because I honestly thought, I'm so glad that was the answer you were able to give, because I thought the hardship was, sorry you had this diagnosis, try sleeping with a fan, and that was about the extent of it. So what are some of the things you do to treat it?
So it is usually noise therapy. So there are, whenever you have tinnitus, one of the most common causes is hearing loss. Not always, but it is a common cause of the tinnitus. And one of the best examples that I have ever heard, and this was in a class that I had gone to, they said, if you have a candle burning in a dark room, that's where your eyes will fixate. That it's impossible not to notice that candle. But if you turn on the lights, that candle may be completely unnoticeable, because the lights in the room are what we're fixating on and not the candle burning in the background. Mm-hmm. And so that's our primary goal with tinnitus, is to make it a background sound and not the primary sound. So we can do that by introducing other noises that people have control over, and that helps them to just kind of tune it out in the background. So it's there, but it will get better. It will go away. And most of the time people tell me that they don't even notice it anymore unless if they take the time to really find it in their head. So it is something that can get better. But noise is the treatment that we use.
Is tinnitus the result of a loud noise damage to your ear? Like, can you prevent it?
It's one cause. So loud noise can cause damage to the hair cells, and with that, it will cause us to lose perception of some of the sounds, and the tinnitus will become the primary sound in that particular frequency range. So as we lose our hearing, the tinnitus becomes more dominant. So if we raise that sound up, if it's because of hearing loss, if we raise the hearing up in that particular frequency, now we can hear the environmental sounds in that frequency, and the tinnitus becomes a background sound. There are other things that we can do. If you, there's a wonderful organization called the American Tinnitus Organization and Association, ATA, American Tinnitus Association. They have lots of useful resources. They even have a list of apps that you can download that have tinnitus therapies included, and most of them are free. And I recommend those all the time because they are so helpful for people with tinnitus.
Pulmonologists and allergists will tell you that for asthma patients, the signs of an asthma attack present themselves differently in different patients. Some will wheeze, some will cough. You get the idea. Is tinnitus across the board the same signs, or will different people experience something different?
There are different forms. So there is subjective tinnitus. Usually it's going to take, again, not always, it doesn't always have to be associated with hearing loss, but a lot of times it is. And so if someone has a low frequency hearing loss where they lose their perception of bass sounds, then they will say, I hear an ocean in the background. It sounds like a fan running all the time. Whereas if someone has a high frequency hearing loss, which is typically a noise-induced hearing loss, they will report it as being a ringing, crickets, cicadas. So it will have a different frequency, a different sound completely altogether. Now there's objective tinnitus too, where you will have like a thumping sound, like a heartbeat, and that's something that is actually measurable that other people can hear. And that can be blood pressure, that can be, it can even be like a tumor on the auditory nerve. So there are so many different reasons that people will have different types of sounds, and it will sound different to that person, and whether that person can measure it or the audiologist can measure it or not, we have to take that into effect.
Okay, so on the objective tinnitus part of things, I was about to ask you too to touch on the need to not dismiss a hearing concern. I know that we've talked before about sudden hearing loss and the importance of having that checked out quickly.
Yes.
The same, I guess, would be true if you're having one of these objective forms of tinnitus, because there might be an underlying health condition, right?
Definitely, and that's sometimes what makes tinnitus so bothersome, is people are wondering, is there something wrong with me? So it's always helpful to get it checked out to know whether it's something that is to worry about or something not to worry about. And the only way to know that is to have it checked out.
Well, it's awfully encouraging that you were able to give us some hopeful thoughts on how you can find a way to manage it, because it was truly news to my ears. So thank you for your time this morning.
Well, thanks for having me.
Here's how you can get in touch with Dr. Ahlberg and her staff. They're right up the road in Cleveland on North Ocoee Street. 641-0956 is the phone number. Online, ahlbergaudiology.com. And you can catch her once a month here on 3+U. Always lots of topics to discuss when it comes to you and your kids hearing, how to make it optimal. We're back after this.
They used to call me Sir Sauce back in the day.
I knew you was going to claim
Sir
that.
Sauce a lot.
You know?
Will is the